Third world is a term we don't use much anymore. It's a phrase that has fallen out of favour for a number of reasons. It's outdated and, frankly, kind of rude. The term originally emerged during the Cold War to categorise countries that were neither aligned with NATO nor the communist bloc. It used to describe countries with less developed economies, often struggling with poverty and instability. These nations were seen as less industrialised and less economically advanced compared to the so-called first world countries like the United States and Western Europe. Now, is the UK a third world country? Not quite. The UK has historically been considered a first world country due to its advanced economy and high standard of living. But are things going great? Not exactly either. The UK is currently grappling with a host of issues that are causing significant concern among its citizens. The UK is facing some serious challenges that are making people anxious about the future. Economic instability, political uncertainty, and social issues are all contributing to a sense of unease. We're talking about rising poverty, a cost of living crisis, and pressure on public services like the NHS. Many people are finding it increasingly difficult to make ends meet, and the strain on public services is becoming more and more apparent. In this economy, it's enough to make you want to move to a delightful yurt in the Scottish Highlands and live off the land. The idea of escaping the hustle and bustle of modern life and returning to a simpler way of living is becoming more appealing to many. Spoiler alert, even that's gotten really expensive. The cost of living in rural areas has also increased, making it difficult for people to find affordable housing even in more remote locations. So, what does this all mean in the grand scheme of things? The term third world is not only outdated, but also oversimplifies the complex economic and social realities of different countries. It's important to recognise that every nation faces its own unique set of challenges and opportunities. Instead of using terms like third world, we should focus on understanding the specific circumstances and needs of each country. This approach allows for more meaningful and effective solutions to global issues. By fostering a sense of global solidarity and cooperation, we can work towards a more equitable and just world for everyone. It's about moving beyond outdated labels and embracing a more nuanced and compassionate perspective. After all, the world is a diverse and dynamic place, full of rich cultures and unique experiences. Embracing this diversity is key to building a better future for all. As we move forward, let's focus on sustainable development and innovative solutions that address the root causes of economic and social challenges. By doing so, we can create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Ultimately, it's about creating a world where everyone can live with dignity and hope. A world where the term third world is no longer relevant because we've all come together to build a brighter future.
Remember the good old days when a single income could support a family? Back then, one person working a steady job could afford a home, put food on the table, and even save a little for the future. It was a time when the middle class thrived, and the dream of a comfortable life was within reach for many. Yeah, those days are gone. Today, even with both parents working, many families find it hard to make ends meet. The cost of living has skyrocketed, and wages have not kept pace. The stress and anxiety of financial insecurity are palpable in households across the country. The gap between the rich and the poor is widening in the UK. The wealthy continue to accumulate more wealth, while the poor struggle to get by. This growing inequality is not just a statistic, it's a reality that affects millions of lives. The divide is visible in our neighbourhoods, our schools, and our workplaces. Wages haven't kept up with the rising cost of, well, everything. From housing to healthcare, education to transportation, the expenses keep climbing. Meanwhile, salaries remain stagnant, leaving many workers feeling undervalued and overworked. The promise of upward mobility seems more like a distant dream than an achievable goal. Essential goods, like food and energy, are through the roof. Families are forced to make tough choices every day, deciding between basic necessities. The price of groceries, fuel, and utilities has become a significant burden, stretching budgets to the breaking point. It's a constant struggle to keep up with the rising costs. Millions of families are struggling to make ends meet. The sight of parents poring over bills, children wearing hand-me-downs, and long lines at food banks has become all too common. These families are doing their best to survive, but the odds are stacked against them. The safety nets that once provided support are fraying, leaving many to fend for themselves. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about the real impact on people's lives. Behind every statistic is a story of hardship, resilience, and hope. Families are having difficult conversations about their future, trying to navigate an uncertain economic landscape. The human cost of inequality is profound and far-reaching. It's about real people facing impossible choices. The emotional toll of financial stress is immense, affecting mental health and well-being. Parents worry about providing for their children, while individuals grapple with the fear of losing their homes or falling into debt. These are not just abstract concerns, they are daily realities for many. Do you heat your home or feed your kids? This heartbreaking question is one that no one should have to ask. Yet, for countless families, it's a stark choice they face every winter. The struggle to balance heating costs with the need to put food on the table is a testament to the dire state of economic inequality. It's a question no one should have to ask. In a society as advanced as ours, the fact that such choices exist is a glaring indictment of our economic system. We must address these disparities and work towards a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, free from the fear of financial ruin. Remember when going to the supermarket was a relatively mundane chore? Now it's like playing a high-stakes game show where the grand prize is being able to afford a block of cheese. The cost of food has skyrocketed. Energy bills are enough to give you a panic attack. And let's not even get started on rent. Food banks, once a last resort, are now a lifeline for millions. People are having to choose between heating their homes and putting food on the table. It's a national disgrace.
Brexit, the gift that keeps on giving. Or perhaps the hangover that just won't quit. Leaving the EU was supposed to be about taking back control, but the reality is far more complicated. Trade barriers, red tape, and uncertainty have hit businesses hard. Investment has slowed and the pound has taken a beating. The economic consequences of Brexit are still unfolding, and they're not pretty.
Section 5. The NHS, ailing and overwhelmed. The NHS, Britain's beloved but beleaguered healthcare system, is in trouble. Years of underfunding and increasing demand have pushed it to the brink. Waiting times for treatment are at record highs. Hospitals are overcrowded and understaffed. The pandemic only made things worse. The NHS is a source of national pride, but it's struggling to cope. Without significant investment and reform, it's unclear how much longer it can survive. Section 6. Education in crisis funding cuts and falling standards. Remember when the UK was known for its world-class education system? Yeah, those were the days. Years of funding cuts have taken their toll. Schools are struggling to provide even basic resources. Teachers are leaving the profession in droves, and the quality of education is suffering. A good education is the foundation for a strong society. The UK is failing its children by not investing in their future.
Section 7. Drowning in debt. The UK's economic tightrope walk. The UK's national debt is enormous, like really, really big. It's bigger than the GDP, which is economists speak, for we're in a lot of debt. This isn't necessarily a problem as long as the economy is growing and we can manage the repayments. But with inflation soaring and growth sluggish, it's a risky balancing act. Section 8. Looking ahead. Can the UK turn the tide? Okay, so things are looking a bit bleak. But before you start stockpiling canned goods and learning how to churn butter, take heart. the UK still has a lot going for it. It has a highly skilled workforce, a strong financial sector, and a vibrant cultural scene. The UK has faced challenges before, and it has always found a way to bounce back. With the right leadership and a bit of luck, it can overcome these challenges too.
Section 9. A final thought. The UK's fate hangs in the balance. The UK is at a crossroads. The decisions made today will echo through the corridors of time, shaping the destiny of this nation. The bustling streets of London, the serene countryside, and the historic landmarks all stand as silent witnesses to the choices that lie ahead. It can choose to address the issues of poverty, inequality, and underinvestment. These are not just statistics. They are real lives affected by the policies and priorities set by those in power. The faces of the homeless, the struggles of low-income families, and the dilapidated housing conditions are stark reminders of the urgent need for change. Or it can continue down a path that leads to further decline. The sight of abandoned factories, shuttered shops, and empty storefronts paints a grim picture of what could become a widespread reality if action is not taken. The decline of the high street is not just an economic issue, it's a social one, affecting communities and livelihoods. The choices made in the next few years will determine the country's fate for generations to come. The halls of Parliament, the iconic Big Ben, and the voting booths are more than just symbols, they are the arenas where the future is decided. Every vote, every policy, every debate will contribute to the shaping of the UK's destiny. The stakes couldn't be higher. The financial district, the headlines screaming economic crisis, and the stressed faces of businessmen all point to the urgency of the situation. The economy is the lifeblood of the nation, and its health is crucial for the well-being of all its citizens. So, is the UK becoming a third world country? Not yet, but the storm clouds are gathering and the signs of economic and social strain are becoming increasingly evident. The juxtaposition of old and new buildings on British streets symbolizes the tension between tradition and progress. But it's time to stop pretending everything is fine and start having some difficult conversations about the future. Concerned citizens in town hall meetings, families discussing finances at home, and heated political debates all indicate a growing awareness that something needs to change. The headlines may capture the crisis, but the real story is in the lives of everyday people. Because the clock is ticking, time is running out to make the necessary changes. The close-up of a ticking clock, the face of Big Ben, and the hourglass with the UK map in the background all serve as powerful metaphors for the urgency of the moment. The night sky over UK streets reminds us that while the future is uncertain, it is also full of potential. The choices made now will determine whether that potential is realized or squandered.